Welcome to the tutorial on major trends and future of library automation. In this particular tutorial, we are going to explore or measure the ongoing trends in the domain of library automation, and also will try to identify the possible future of library automation processes. Now, before making a quantum jump into the topic, let us have a brief recapitulation what we have learned in the earlier tutorial. Already we know that library automation started in the decade of 1950s, and right from them it actually progressed over different era, and we have identified a total of 5 decades over the progress. Let us start with the pre-computer era. First, in the pre-computer era we were using actually punch cut method, then came the standalone era where offline computerization started in 1960s. Then 1970s actually witnessed the emergence of the online system, local area network, etc. But the real trend setting process started in library automation in the decade of 80s. In the decade of 80s, with the advent of the low cost computer, personal computer in different forms, CD-ROM technology, then mature local area network actually make library automation whooping victory. Now, after that microcomputer era is over, we entered into the wave era, basically based on the internet technologies. In this wave era, basically our LAN based OPAC become web OPAC, and different other resources can be integrated with the system seamlessly. In the first decade of 21st century, mainly we started initiation of library automation with the help of open library system, that is powered by open source software and open standards. And apart from these two features, we also know that on the fly integration with the open content is another feature of the open era. Now, in this particular tutorial, we will be measuring trends and the facets of ongoing trends of the library automation under different heads. And these are the heads in front of you. We will study the architecture and infrastructure level changes, software and standards level changes, organization and processing level changes, then how outreach and integration can become a part of the library automation process, and finally we will try to explore what are the ongoing changes in the domain of interface and discovery. Now, when we are talking about the architecture and infrastructure, you know that library automation process, the entire process is software centric activities. The architectural design of ILS started as a standalone architecture, then we moved into the client server architecture, and then finally we got the web architecture. But in future possibly the web architecture will be converted into the cloud computing architecture. Now, here you see in the screen that the architecture and infrastructure can be studied under the 4 major trend setting process. That one is the service oriented architecture. You already know that service oriented architecture already advocated by the OLE project, and ILSs all over the world are basically keeping a close watch on the development of the service oriented architecture. Then the second trend may be the cloud based library automation. Third trend is the web scale library management, and finally we are going through the seamless integration with the vocabulary system and classification schemes inside the library automation. Owing to the advent of a standard given by W3C, that particular standard is called SKOS, Simple Knowledge Organization System. Now, that particular standards enable us to integrate any classification scheme or any knowledge organization system like thesaurus and other things, to integrate those particular object into our library automation system seamlessly. Now, let us have a close look of what do we mean by service oriented architecture. Service oriented architecture, as you know, that it is basically a combination or seamless interaction of heterogeneous computing system which are independent of system, platform, software and data structure. In other words, it supports sharing of services and data sets in heterogeneous information infrastructure. Now, another ongoing trend is the cloud computing. In cloud computing, basically the library automation process, in place of the standalone library automation process in a particular library, people are now opting out for the cloud computing architecture. That means the entire hardware, software, network, infrastructure will be in the remote places, and from the local libraries we will be accessing those remote services like network as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. And by using cloud architecture, ILS is available in remote server through web browser, we can have without any local installation process. Then at the same time we can host web OPAC in the remote server, staff can interact with the library automation process from the remote server, and at the same time we can utilize different storage devices available in the remote system, and possibly in that particular cases the authority need to pay for the cloud platform to different cloud vendors. So that is an ongoing trend that in place of the local level installation and management of library automation software, we are moving towards the cloud architecture. Now here in the screen you can see that the architecture of the service oriented architecture as proposed by the Kuali experimental ILS. We already studied that an experimental open source ILS is coming in a big way in our domain, and that particular software is based on this SOA architecture. And you can see it is a 3-layer architecture. There will be user interfaces which will generate lot of services. In the middle layer it will basically managing data, that is through seamless integration from different sources, and in the core layer different kind of business applications will be running. Another two very important trends in the domain of architecture and infrastructure are web scale library management and SQOS. Web scale library management simply means you can say it's a cloud computing plus. That means here we are not only utilizing the hardware, network and storage of the remote server, but also data will be coming from different data providers. We simply don't have to enter any data apart from the title and ISBN for our local holdings. And OCLC coming is a big player of the web scale library management. It says the moment you registered your server with the OCLC and you put your title and ISBN of the local material, the OCLC provides you an XISBN service through which you can fetch entire data within a few minutes. So your library automation process will be ready within 10-15 minutes in future. Now another unique feature as I told you, that is the SQOS developed by W3C. It's basically an XML based standard which transfers most of the knowledge organization system like classification, thesaurus, vocabulary control devices into XML architecture, and that particular object can be seamlessly integrated with the library automation process. Let us see the architecture of web scale resource management model as proposed by OCLC. Now here you see there are already 3 layers. Your library management layer will be the core layer, and lot of shared data will be there, and that shared data will be used in the library management software, and users at their end will discover different resources through the seamless integration of your library materials. The example may be given, one very simple example may be given. Say for example, you are entering your title and ISBN record in the mark based cataloging. So rest of the data for other mark fields can be fetched from the OCLC through XISBN service. The moment your record is saved, it can be integrated with the Amazon to fetch cover page image, to fetch reviews, comment, etc. Table of content service may come from Library of Congress CAT disk service. So in this way, user can have a rich experience when they are navigating the library OPAC. So that is one point, one actually ongoing changes coming in the library automation process. Another, let me show you the integration of SKOS in library OPAC. Here in the screen you see the library OPAC is not now just not a searching interface only. You can integrate the visual thesaurus on the top of SKOS standard seamlessly inside your OPAC. That means here you can see if a user search by the child health, so all the associated terms related to the child health will be displayed and user can navigate easily from one concept to another concept and can pick up the term to search library automation system or any retrieval system rather more efficiently. So, this is all about the trend 1, that is the architectural and infrastructural level change. Let us move into the second layer, that is the but before that let us have a comparative study how these architectural changes can be compared with the 5th generation library automation software. You can see in the screen these are the 4 parameters we have given, and in the right side we have given whether the 5th generation ILSs are supporting this feature or no. Service oriented architecture, mostly the 5th generation ILS or presently available ILSs except Quali ILS, no one is supporting service oriented architecture. Most of the library automation software now supporting cloud based library automation. For example, the most popular open source software Koha, the present release of Koha can be installed in such a manner that n number of instances can be created in the server and each individual library can register their server through different instances of Koha. Now, if we come back to the web scale library management system, still the features are limited. Mostly some of the library automation software are trying to integrate different kind of open content like cover page image, book reviews, etc. inside the OPAC, but definitely the scope is still limited. And seamless integration with the vocabulary system and classification schemes with the library OPAC or library system during the time of cataloging or during the time of retrieval of materials are not yet supported in libraries, or supported, if supported, that is only experimental in nature. Now, let us move to the second trend setting process, that is software and standards. Now, architectural design and infrastructural support provides just a guideline in the development of the baseline, but not the product line. So, software and standard here working to actually shaping the product line, that is the final product of library automation software or ILS. Let us have a quick look what are the different kind of trends are going on in this particular domain. First is the increasing use of open source software. Nowadays you already know that Koha, Emilda, NewGenLeap, then Evergreen are installed almost everywhere in the world, and if you study the user base of Koha you will be amazed to know in each and every continent there is a now presence of Koha. Second trend is basically the emergence of the open standards, and third trend is the interoperability capabilities. So, this third trend is very important. You can remember that we talked about the future integration of digital library system and automated library system into a single platform, and this factor, the interoperability factor, will be helping that great marriage of digital library system and automated library system. Now, let us have a close look that what are the interoperability standard supports we need to integrate digital library system, open contents and many other services within our library automation system. We need counter and pyras to determine the usage statistics. We need mates, mods and mats, all are developed by all standard developed by Library of Congress like mates, mods and mats. These are basically meant for the digital object description, digital object management and linking of digital object with their bibliographic records. Then another important thing is the ORCID for the researcher identification, DOI for the document identification. There may be CNRI handle is coming in a big way. CNRI handle as a digital object identifier already implemented in DSpace. Then we may need EDIFACT to make our library automation system to interact with different payment gateways. NCIP, we already talked about NISO circulation interchange protocol. It is already supported by different library automation software. SQS, that is simple knowledge organization system standard as proposed by W3C, must be supported in future by the library management software. And very new thing is coming in our domain, that is the ontology. Ontology is basically, you can say, it is the next level of thesaurus, a domain specific knowledge modeling, and that can be integrated into the library system in future. Now, if we check that what are the layer 2 specifications are supported by the 5th generation library automation system, in fact The first two, that is the use of open source software and use of open standards, are supported by almost all commercial and open source library management software, but interoperability capabilities are still limited. No library management software supports Counter, Pyrus for usage statistics, ORCID and DOI for document identification, and SQS to integrate knowledge organization schemes inside the library automation system. Now, if we move into the third layer, that is the major trends in organization and processing, we can identify that ongoing changes in organization and processing of library materials through following trends. We can identify there are three trends, that is the new cataloging standards are coming. In fact, you must be knowing cataloging principles, the objectives of cataloging, and the cataloging codes are in the process of change. Say for example, so far we still use in the libraries the objectives as given by Carter, but presently the objectives given by Venonius is holding true for the automated library system. For example, the Carter's objective, you can simplify the objectives of catalog is to find, to locate and to select documents. But Venonius given or added another two objectives with the catalog, that is to find, to locate, to select, to obtain. If the book is available in complete e-format, you can download the entire book. So, to obtain may be a valid objective of a cataloging system. And finally, she added another one, that is to navigate. So, inside the book, if the book is available in e-format, so inside the book you can navigate from chapter to subchapter to section to subsection. In this way, there are now 5 objectives of catalog. So, these new objectives actually calls for new cataloging principles. So, in place of Paris principles, we are now using IME ICC principles. Now, the moment you have new objectives and new principles, you need to have new data structures. So, IFLA came out with a 3 very handy ER data modeling based system. So, one is FRBR, functional requirements for bibliographic records. One is FRAD, functional requirements for authority data, and the third one is FRSAD, functional requirements for subject authority data. Now, we need to check whether the library automation software are still supporting these new or emerging standards related to document organization or not. Second important trend in this particular layer is the digital media archiving module. So, I already told that in future digital library system and library automation system will be merged. So, possibly library automation system, there will be the face or the main stakeholder, and digital media archiving will be added to the library automation system as a module. And third ongoing trend is the multilingual record management through Unicode standard. India is a multilingual country, so we need to have library automation system or process which is actually supporting Unicode and all UCS, that is UTF, UTF-16 and UTF-32. Now, these are basically the ongoing organization level standard, as I told you, FRBR, FRAD, FRSAD, and the new cataloging code, the RDA. No library automation software available in India have yet implemented RDA, FRAD and FRSAD. Some of the library automation software like Koha partially implemented FRBR data model. Now, if we compare that, what is the present situation, that what are the ongoing trends in layer 3 and how 5th generation library automation software are supporting it. Let us have a quick look. Now, new cataloging standards supported by library automation software partially. Digital media archiving through module, no support yet there. Then multilingual records management through Unicode, yes, but limited. Limited in the sense most of them are supporting UTF-8 UCS only, not the UTF-32. Now, we can move to the next layer of the trend setting, that is the how outreach and integration can help library automation to help end user. Most of the web centric library automation software allow libraries to go beyond the 4 wall of libraries in both way. That means your library can go outside the 4 wall through web platform, as well as you can invite user to act as a co-developer for different library processes. Say for example, you are opening your library catalog and requesting user to donate tags. How do they describe a particular document? Now on the basis of that tags, you can more precisely or more efficiently categorize the documents. Say for example, when you are using a subject indexing system like Library of Congress subject heading list or Sears list of subject heading, you are based on literary warrant. But the moment you are opening your library OPAC through taxonomy or Foxonomy, you are allowing your user to donate tags. Your library automation system or your library database is based on the user warrant. That means the term which user preferred. So this is again a particular trend, that is the interactive, collaborative and participative library services, and to integrate different outreach and integration with the library automation process. Now if we have a quick look, there are three major trends in this particular domain. One is the development of community information services as outreach process. Second trend is the utilization of linked open data seamlessly within the library system, and third trend is the Web 2.0 compliant ILS. Basically in the second trend we can integrate different kind of subject authority data, name authority data, classification scheme, subject heading list inside the library system, and on the basis of third trend, that is Web 2.0 compliant ILS, we can make our library system interactive, collaborative and participative. Now here you can see an example of outreach services. Now this is a library OPAC which is just not a single search and retrieve interface. It provides different livelihood information to end user on the basis of their own native script. They can navigate, they can search, they can retrieve documents in their own languages. So libraries are coming out with this kind of innovative OPAC nowadays. Another interesting thing, you can see that I already told you how linked open data can be integrated with the library system. For example, in my library cataloging system, I can integrate VIAP. VIAP is a name authority linked open data developed by OCLC. It is an agglomeration of 25 national libraries name authority files. Now if I link through a single scripting VIAP with my library automation system, now the moment I create a name authority file here and type the surname of the user, it will fetch data from VIAP and I can pick up that particular my target author from that particular list. So this kind of integration is nowadays possible through linked open data. And the final example in this particular domain, I will be trying to show you how social networking tools can be integrated with library OPAC. Here you can see a user searches a particular book and the book is displayed before him, and now she can use different social networking tools to populate this book. Now the moment they click this particular book in through Facebook, the book details will be posted in their Facebook world, and this kind of use of social networking tools in the OPAC is making OPAC interactive and collaborative, and at the same time we are supporting to promote books, that is to satisfy the very first law of library science. So if we measure the trend in the layer 4, there are 3 trends. Now the trend 1 is not supported. Say for example, if we compare these 3 trends with the open source ILS Koha, Koha is not supporting community information or outreach. Linked open data is supported in limited way, and Web 2.0 compliant ILS, it is also supported partially. That means there are 239 social networking tools. All tools are not supported, only few major tools like Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, etc. are supported through Koha. But this is the trend which basically library automation softwares are trying to capture in the layer 4, that is outreach and integration. Now finally, if we come to the last major trend, that is the interface and discovery, here we can see the trends are as follows. Most of the library automation softwares are trying to capture the interactive user interface, which we normally called OPAC 2.0. Information mashup, that is the real time on the fly integration of different external sources in one places, an application of single window discovery tools. Say for example, in your library you have different systems. You are maintaining your institutional repository in disk space, your library automation software is Koha, you are maintaining Moodle as a learning management system, Open Journal system as journal publishing system. So, all these different data bases can be integrated seamlessly into a single place, through which user can search all your library resources in one go. So, that is the present major trend of library automation, application of the discovery tools in library automation. Now, here you can see in the OPAC, as I told you, that it is trying to make things interactive. User now can make comments, they can review, they can rate a particular document. Now, in conclusion, we can say that predicting future is a very risky business. The all things we are saying presently may not come true in future, but at the same time prediction gives us some benefits also. The benefits are as follows: that we can identify the future requirements of library automation, to follow service oriented architecture and model, to help in integration of automated and digital library system, to understand the future steps required for accomplishment of library automation, to appreciate needs to adhere the global standards when we are automating our libraries, and to identify required features of ILS and possible future of ILS in this rapidly changing technological environment. Thank you.